without further ado, we got Dem in the building. Yo, how you doing, Ben?
Doing good.
Awesome. I apologize for any delay. Just making sure everything was crispy here.
Yeah.
Sure, I've got my notepad as usual.
Keeping notes.
always. So if folks don't know what's going on today, we have Ben Hollis here from Destiny Item Manager, and he'll give us a little bit of a rundown of what his capacity is at Destiny Item Manager, and kind of just a quick, rundown in general of what Destiny Item Manager is, and Loadout Organizer in particular, Loadout Optimizer in particular, which is what we'll be working with today. Let me go ahead and pull mine up. Mine is right here.
Yes.
And let's see. I think that was pretty much. So we're gonna be working with Loadout Optimizer today, and Ben was gracious enough to give us some of his time today, and yeah, he's gonna be basically helping us to make some god tier builds, right? Some god tier like PvE and PvP builds. So Ben, I'll just leave it over to you for a second, if you don't mind telling us what capacity do you work at DEM, and kind of give us a quick rundown of DEM and Loadout Optimizer.
Yeah, for sure. So I hope most Destiny players are familiar with DIM at this point. But if you're not, I mean, it's a web-based tool that we have to manage your inventory, keep track of progress towards bounties, and then kind of it's grown to encompass as much as we feel like doing, right? A lot of power tools. I got into it right around Taken King for D1. So like this dude, Kyle Shea, had created it at first, and back then you had to like not hack, but you had to do some like nasty tricks to actually get into the data, because they launched a companion app for Destiny, and it's hard for me to believe that like back then we were all flying to the tower to get our stuff out of the vault.
Right.
Once they launched their companion app, and Kyle figured out how they were doing it, like how they were communicating with the API to change items and stuff like that. And he kind of reverse engineered it and made the first version of DIM. So he started doing that. And it was real basic, but it was like, blows people's minds. And it was a Chrome extension back then. And then Rick Casey Goose joined up then, because Kyle made the great choice in making the whole thing open source, so anybody could come in and help out, right? So Rick comes in, and he actually tore it apart, put it back together, really took it to the next level in terms of the code, and that was roughly around the end of like a year in. And then I found it, and I was like, well, I bet I could help, poke a little here and poke a little there. And then I like fell in hard and just started really just going nuts on it. And so ever since then, I've kind of been the primary developer for DIM.
Okay.
Just putting a lot of time in, nights and weekends, just, keeping it fast, making sure it reacts to all the updates that Bungie makes. Like it was a big thing when Destiny 2 arrived, that we were able to get DIM working with Destiny 2 before Destiny 2 released.
Yeah.
And so like the minute it released, we were there and you could switch over and stuff.
Yeah,
like
that was huge.
So
that was huge.
Fun with that stuff. And then, as it goes on, I play probably less than most people, but I, DIM is for me too.
Of course.
I'm always adding stuff that I think would be helpful. So like most recently the organizer, and then of course Loadout Optimizer. So Loadout Optimizer was a thing, again, Kyle started that back in the D1 days, and it was all about finding your T12 stat.
Yeah, definitely.
Like the holy grail back then. But remember, like, those were all fixed perks. There were 3 stats. So it was a tough problem, but it wasn't like an impossible problem.
Yep.
And then D2 launch, we had no idea what was going on, so we didn't have a loadout optimizer. And then Kyle brought it back again, and we worked on it and really kind of brought the D1 idea into D2. But again, we were in perks. We were in 3 stats.
Yep.
It wasn't bad, right? Then Armor 2.0 comes out and blows the whole thing out of the water. because now you've got 6 stats and mods and all this other stuff going on. And it got really, really, really complicated. So we had to do a lot just even to get it to run on people's computers. Like it was crashing people's computers because people have tens of millions of builds possibly, right?
Of course, of course.
It's just nutso. And then this guy, Ryan Rushton, another developer who found us through our GitHub, he came in and really has taken a ton of effort to keep building the mod stuff in. So that's where like a lot of the recent mod stuff has gotten way better, and it's all through his work. It's cool. Like the idea of DIM is it's open. Anybody can look at the source. Anybody can jump in and build a feature, help out. It's for the community by the community. So
Gotcha.
that's how it all works.
Love it, love it, love it. So as you guys hear again, Ben Hollis, one of the main developers for Destiny Item Manager and Loadout Optimizer is currently his baby. Um, Man, a couple things that you said that were just awesome and nostalgic. Number one, Destiny Item Manager for D1, huge, huge. People forget that in D1, the load times just across the board were just longer, right? Like it just took us longer to get places and to shuffle things around. So Destiny Item Manager was essential for pulling things quickly for your characters, especially if you were, obviously doing your characters for the week, or maybe you were doing trials like myself and switching characters, and you just wanted to switch your build over. At that time, I believe as well, they had the option for you to save your build. Is that correct? Yeah, they did. Yep.
Yeah. Loadouts was one of our very first features, is like save all your favorite builds. So you'd have your Crota raid build and your Wrath of the Machine raid build and your PvP Crucible build and all that stuff.
Definitely.
And we brought that over into D2 just exactly the same.
Correct. So that was amazing for us. And then you're right, like moving a little bit forward towards the end of Destiny 1's cycle, we were talking about tier 12 builds. And for anybody that played the game pretty heavily, tier 12 builds were like the pinnacle of like the min-maxing back then, right? You were trying to find just the right quality gear in order to get just the right stats, in order to get like 12 tiers basically of points towards your statistics, right? It's kind of similar to how on Loadout Optimizer now, if you're looking at it, you see this tier 31 right here, and so the higher the tier, the more quality, the overall quality of the gear, and generally you're going to be able to hit some pretty substantial stats the higher the tier that you go. Moving forward to what Ben said with regards to like D2, a couple things that I kind of want to point out. Amazing that you folks had, Destiny Item Manager relatively, it was good to go for the most part day one, and certainly through the first week. And so that was amazing that we were able to utilize Destiny Item Manager almost as soon as D2 dropped. And certainly, when I ended up navigating over to PC like a month or two later, Destiny Item Manager was in a fairly good state. So for all of us grinders, thank you so much. so much, because I understand like how much. I don't completely understand, because I don't understand that side of things, but I do understand based on just like times for other applications that I might use and things along that line, like how awesome it is, how crazy it is, how much work goes into it to some degree, to make sure that a legacy application is up to date. For an application that you're tuned into, but you don't have all the details for it yet, so that's huge. And then the last thing, and I said it before when we were talking in our call earlier this week, was that something as simple as Black Lives Matter. I'm a big advocate for the Black Lives Matter, the movement for Black Lives, and something as simple as putting Black Lives Matter at the bottom of the inventory screen is just huge for an application that like millions of people use, right? That
was something we felt we really needed to do, even though it's a game and we only have so much reach, but we do have reach, and we have people, and we knew we had to do that.
Well, yeah, I as someone who's deep into that, deep into advocating for that cause, I really appreciate that, because, you guys recognized, early on, right there, that it was something that was important, that you had the power to do, something that was very minimal but had such a it was impactful. It was truly impactful, I believe. So
Okay. Yeah.
awesome. Awesome. All right. So moving
Yeah.
forward, let's see. How do we wanna do this? So of course we have Destiny. Everybody understands what I mean. Most of us know already. You know what Destiny Item Manager is. I'm gonna slide over to the Loadout Optimizer
Yep.
tab here. And can you see that here on your screen, Ben?
I can't.
Okay. Let me just.
This
Yep.
could be a little,
Yep.
little awkward,
I
but
figured. No, no, it's okay. It's okay. I know how to fix it. Give me a second. I'm just gonna try a couple things here. One
yeah,
second,
I'm
because
putting the
I'm
screen.
using. Yep, I'm using the Steam overlay in order. That's how I generally access my Destiny item manager. So, folks on the stream, and I'll get Ben set up here in a second just to make sure. But folks on the stream, like I literally just go to the Steam overlay, and then I have Destiny item manager open through the Steam overlay. Through the Steam overlay web browser. So I click on web browser right here, and then I come up here and it pops up, and then I just type in Destiny Item Manager, and then I just log in from there. So that I just have to hotkey like back and forth. I don't have to alt tab in and out of the game. Alt tabbing ends up screwing with my audio, which is another reason why I do it like this as well. So let's make sure Ben is good.
Yeah, there we go.
You can see that, but then I just need to see if I can maybe change windows to just screen one, go live, and then let's see if I can pull it up here. All right, can you see Dem at all right now?
I can't. I've got the Twitch stream up on my phone,
Nope,
so maybe
nope,
that's.
nope. I'm gonna just do it. I'm just gonna do it the regular way. We'll just all tap. It's all good. Give me 1 second here.
Yeah, the Steam browser is super awesome if you can get it to work. Some
Agreed.
people it works, some people it just doesn't, and I
Oh,
don't know what it is about Steam that because it's kind of a hacked up browser, so they've done
true.
something.
Okay.
Sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't.
Interesting. I did
So
not
I
know
don't
that
want
it
to make
didn't work for everybody.
it
Yeah.
too much, because I would love to have it that way, but
Oh,
yeah.
you can't access it that way either on your own.
Well, I play on PS4, so
Oh
I don't
yeah.
have any
Got
option
you.
like that.
Got you.
I'm
Got
using it on my phone half the time. Uh,
Got you. Yeah, which is definitely what I used to do. When I was over on PS4. Man, us PC people, we're seriously blessed. we really
yeah,
are.
it's a totally different experience.
It is.
But my hands are like programmed into the controller, and I can't.
No, I hear you. I hear you. Well, I mean, you can obviously use a controller here on PC, but I definitely feel you. Some people don't have the access, to a PC
Totally,
that can run it and that
totally.
sort of thing. So I'm just glad that we have our folks over on PS4 and console folks just in general. Let me see. Can you see it now by any chance?
I cannot.
Okay, then I'm gonna do one more thing. Don't worry. I'm just gonna share the application, which is there's so many like different ways I can do this. So
For sure.
let's see applications, and then you should be able to see it now. Is that correct?
Maybe maybe Discord's just doing a thing
Oh, is Discord doing a thing? That's weird.
because it's just got like a little spinny thing on that screen.
That's really
Uh,
strange because I can see it as a preview over here on mine. Maybe let me stop it and restart it. And give me a second. I'm gonna like leave the call and then I'm gonna come back just to make sure. I'll be
yeah,
right
that's
back. All right, we're back. Then
awesome.
applications, dim. All right, how about now?
Come on, come on. There we go. All right, I can
Perfect.
see it.
Oh, let's go. Success. Success.
Copilot engaged.
Yeah, you're dropped in for a second. One of my mods, he dropped in for a second and he was just like, hey, just want to make sure you're good. All right. So we're clicking over to Loadout Optimizer, and then I'll just give a quick. So again, we're on Loadout Optimizer, which is a feature on Destiny Item Manager, right? You click on Loadout Optimizer right here, um, and what the purpose of this is you can then tailor your build to how you want it with regards to statistics, but also Ben is going to give us some tips with regards to tailoring your build based on mods as well, something that I'm not particularly familiar with. And so I'm going to be sitting here with keen ears and eyes to try to glean some of this great information that he's got for us. Obviously, you can click on the assumed masterwork or not, and he can give you a quick like thought on
Yeah.
that, but I think most people can see maybe what's going on here. Minimum power, minimum armor stat total. Then you can select for certain perks. And I'm just giving an overview. Ben will give you guys he'll drill down a little bit. You can select for certain perks on different pieces of armor, whether it be the class item, the leg, chest, etc., etc. So for example, if I'm on Warlock, so if I want to go to the gauntlets and find the perk for the Ophidian aspects, which is Cobra Totemic, Totemic. I don't know, man. I don't know. I can just select it, and then I can select the perk, and then I can come back, and then it'll make it so that any build includes that Ophidian aspect. And so again, we'll get into that. We'll select for mods, which I'll let Ben get into more in more detail. And then down here, you can lock certain items so that certain particular items are locked, and builds will be focused around that particular item. Or you can exclude particular items to the point where builds will be focused around everything but that item. And so, Ben, it's all you. And I'm listening. I'm listening.
Yeah, absolutely. And I'm psyched that you're doing this stream because this is one of the most powerful things in DIM, but it's also easily the most confusing thing in DIM. It's like just such a power tool. So what you're looking at now is just, you haven't told the Loadout Optimizer anything about the build you want, right?
Correct.
So what it's done is it's gone through every piece of armor you've got, and it's tried every combination of 5 pieces and tried to find the best ones. And right now you've effectively told it, hey, I just want the best of the best in total stats, right? Which is why you've got that T31 at the top there. And it's just saying, look, I'm just trying to maximize all the stats we've got. And you've got lots and lots and lots of those. So each row of this is not really one exact set of 5 items. It represents all sets of 5 items that get you the exact same tier, right? So all the ones on the top there, that shows you anything that'll get T4 mobility and T3 resilience and T9 recovery, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera.
Okay.
And that button at the end under your class item, that lets you choose among equivalent things. And it usually shows up on class items because class items all have the same stats, right? They've got no stats.
Okay.
It's saying you can pick anything in that category and you'll get the same result.
Okay.
Sometimes you'll see that elsewhere, right? For other types of things. And that's because, like we were talking about with the tiers versus the exact stats, it only really matters once you knock over to the next tier whether you'll get that cooldown improvement, the next level of cooldown improvement. So if you have, 39 in a stat,
yep,
doesn't matter. You got to get to 40.
Of course.
So that's what it's trying to do. So tell me, what are you going after here? What's the build that you're interested in getting?
Okay, let me see. I was, and so I thought about this at a time. And let me break for a quick second. Welcome everybody, especially everybody that's new to the stream today. My name is Physics, aka Tony. We have Ben Hollis from Destiny Item Manager, and he's walking us through Loadout Optimizer, which is one of the most powerful features in Destiny Item Manager, specific for selecting builds, that are tailored towards your specific needs, and just kind of finding the most efficient build with regards to stats and that sort of thing. And so if you have any questions specifically for Ben, then just try to hold them a little bit, and then I will have a certain time frame, that I'm like, okay, well, does anybody have any questions? And then just make sure that you @ me so that I see it in the chat, because it'll light up for me if you @ me. And then myself and the mods will kind of just, be looking out for those or whatnot, and then we can kind of drill Ben a little bit and kind of glean a little bit of his expertise, his great expertise into this. So Ben, coming back to you, I thought that we'd make a build around, what is that chest called? Chat, what is that chest for the Warlock that allows you to float in the air and take reduced damage while you're pinging people from the air? It has the wings. Is it the Wings of Sacred Dawn? Is that what it is?
Yeah.
Okay, Wings of Sacred Dawn.
I play Warlock, so I don't know, but.
Oh, what's your main, Ben? What's your main?
I'm all hunter.
Oh
I
boy.
have 2 characters, but I really haven't. I haven't had time to play the others, unfortunately.
Got you.
Yeah. My partner plays a Titan, and she's like, I'm always jealous of what she's doing. But, yeah, I'm all hunter all the time.
Gotcha. All right. Well, we have a Hunter main in the building, by the way. I see some. I see Hunter for the win in the chat. I see, quite a bit of fans of Hunters in the chat. All right. So we got Wings of Sacred Dawn. The exotic perk is Wings of Discipline. Is that what you're saying? Let me see. So the first thing we're doing is selecting for Wings of Discipline. Is that correct? Ben?
What is it called? Yeah, there we go. Tome of Dawn. Dawnblade holds you in midair.
Thank you.
You've got this. You've got this nailed, right? Which is anytime you want to build around an exotic, you got to select the exotic perk.
Correct.
And that's going to narrow you down to only things that have that perk.
Gotcha.
Which effectively not, you could, right? You could go and say, I want to lock a specific exotic. You just choose that exotic out of your inventory. But by locking the perk, if you have multiple rolls of that, the Loadout Optimizer will consider all of them.
Yes.
So that's definitely a pro move right there, is to grab the perk.
Got you. So I hope everybody caught that. So, there's two different ways that you could isolate a particular exotic, for example. One is you could lock down that particular exotic right here in the drag items here to lock. But if you wanted to do it in a more efficient manner, to the point where you could do one action in order to include anything that, in any Wings of Sacred Dawn that you have on your account, then you would go to select perk, and then you'd go to the chest armor and you'd select for the exotic perk.
Yep. So grab that, hit select perk.
Got it? Yes, sir.
Got that locked in. So now, if all you really care about is I'm running that exotic and then I want to have the best stats possible, that's when you look at that list of stats on the left there.
Gotcha.
Well, the menu on the left where it has them all listed out vertically.
Oh, right here.
So, yep. So I see you customized it a little by setting minimum and maximum stats.
Okay.
But there's an easier way to go about it. So, like I said, I don't know that much about warlocks, but for a hunter, for example, I don't care about strength at all. Right?
Okay.
I don't care if a piece has strength or not. So the first thing I do is I go down to strength, I grab that menu, and I just go to ignore. Right? Whatever, strength isn't that good. I actually don't like resilience that much. Maybe other people do. So I ignore resilience too. And so that just, what it's doing is it's saying, okay, we're going to create our tier out of only the enabled stats. So anything you disable, it just won't care about it at all.
Okay.
So that's really powerful because, a lot of times you really only care about your class ability regen and, whatever, intellect for your super or something like that. So that's the first step in getting the right tier of stats that you want.
Got you. Okay. All right.
So for a warlock, I don't know what you'd be super into.
Let me see. So for warlock, if I was on Dawnblade, with this right here, usually I would play top tree Dawn. So I would maybe focus a little bit into strength. Usually my strength on there, I'd be looking at maybe like a tier 4 or a tier 5 strength. I personally don't care about intellect, so I actually would ignore the intellect. I would include the strength. Let me see. And then probably because I'm using Wings of Sacred Dawn for that extra resilience in the air, I might even honestly ignore the resilience as well.
Well, that makes sense.
And then I'd focus on maybe these four right here, and maybe even I'd still want a minimum recovery just because I hand cannon and it allows me to strafe. To evade shots from opponents. So I'd still want a little bit of minimum mobility, so I wouldn't ignore that. But I'd probably focus into these four right here. I'd probably have a minimum amount of mobility of around 5 or so, strength 4 or 5, and then I'd focus everything else into recovery and discipline.
That's awesome. So what you're looking at now, if you look at your builds that are horizontally listed there, you'll see it says T23 now at the top. And
Correct.
It says T20 in parentheses. So T28 is the total tier. T23 is just the stats you've chosen.
Gotcha. So T28 would be as if we were not ignoring those stats that we're ignoring right now. T23 is only taking into account the ones that we're not ignoring. Gotcha.
Yep. And so what you're seeing too is we're still maximizing those stats. So you're seeing T23 build, T23, T23. Now, the order of those stats matters, right? So you see your top thing, it's got T6 mobility and T8 discipline, but and T3 strength, right? But right below it, it's got 7 discipline and 4 strength, right? So that they're all equivalent total tier, but they've got different distribution.
Gotcha.
So the next thing you want to do with your stats is actually drag and drop the stats on the left in the order you want them.
Whoa! I don't know how to do that. What? You said drag and drop the stats? You're talking about over here?
No, so the little bars next to them mean that they're draggable. So just like go over to that left bar and grab even further left. Yep, and grab the stat and just yank it.
Yank it. So this prioritizes the stats.
It does, yeah.
What? I didn't know you could do that. Yo. Yep. Okay. All right, I'm listening.
So when you were going through your logic about like what stats you care about, you're choosing which ones go in and which ones go out. Then you choose the order that you care about them, right?
This is crazy.
And what Dim is doing is we're reordering the builds on the right based on your preference there. So you'll still see all your T23s on top, but if you have mobility at the top, the one with the most mobility is going to be first, right?
This is crazy, Ben. I had no clue you could do that. Okay. Yeah. All right. So are we ready now for me to? Can I go ahead and arrange it how I want? Okay. So I always prioritize recovery. For anybody that's a PvP main in here, trying to be a PvP main or whatnot, recovery is huge. You want 100 recovery for the most part if you can get it, simply because that allows you to disengage and re-engage into fights as quickly as possible. So if you're definitely trying to frag out, especially in 6s, or even trying to play your life and clutch a play, for example, in 3s or in trials, then it's useful to be able to disengage from a fight when you're weak, but then re-engage as quickly as possible. So recovery would be the first thing. And then with this build right here, I said that discipline, your grenade is huge, again, in PvP, because that can mean the difference between chip damage for like you say, like I end up defeating one of my mods. I'd end up defeating but then he's got Wolf, another one of my mods on his team, and Wolf is coming up and he's on a nasty Titan, just a nasty Titan, just Antaeus wards, the whole mix, and like colors everywhere. The helmet is mismatched from the arms, is mismatched from the chest, just an ugly Titan, I love Titans. I play all 3 characters, by the way, but I'm just messing around. So Wolf is on this Titan, and Wolf is absolutely just about to drill into me. So I end up defeating and then I pull back behind some cover, and then I come back out because my recovery's high, but I also have discipline that's high, so I have a nade that allows me to I throw the nade and I get chip damage on the second opponent, and then I'm able to easily clutch up that second opponent. So your nade is just really, really big when you're talking about 1v1s, 1v2s, 1v3s, and so I always want to kind of prioritize my nade most times by default second. And then from there, it doesn't really matter between the strength and mobility, but I guess I'd probably want the mobility. For most other people, they might maybe want the strength first. But that's probably the order right there that I'd like.
Awesome. So now you can see like those builds are totally ordered that way. To be honest, you can ignore all, so the first 3 builds are T23. Below that's T22 builds and stuff like that. You can probably just ignore all those because they're just going to be worse, right?
Okay.
You might be able to find one if you dig around in the bin down there that has like huge recovery and then sucks in all the other stats, right? And so that might be something you want to like go search for. And that's where that other menu you were looking at earlier helps with, where you can set like a minimum tier. And that's if you have like a particular target in mind. But really that's like, for me, that's too advanced. I always stop right before that.
Okay. So when you're talking about the menu for a particular tier, you're talking about these right here. Is that correct?
Right. So like you could do a thing where you say, I really need to have 8 recovery. And so you can choose from that menu 8 recovery, and it'll really narrow it down to those builds. But you're throwing away a lot of possibilities when you do that.
Gotcha.
Right?
Okay. I see it just automatically drops down to T20 instead of T23.
Right. Because it can't make up from all the armor pieces you have enough other stats in that. So But I mean, if you really only care about that, maybe it helps, right?
Okay.
But for me, it's a little too fiddly to go there.
Okay. Okay. And in the end too, you're really trying to. I mean, at least for me, you're really trying to narrow things down just enough. You don't have to drill down like absolutely deep into it. Just enough so that it's enough for you to process, right, and to be able to pick from those limited builds that ended up coming back. Is that correct?
Yep. Yeah,
Okay.
absolutely.
Okay. 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 All right.
Um, so yeah, so there's a couple. You pointed out a couple more things right below those stat choices.
Mm-hmm.
So assume masterworked is important. Right now, the stats that we're using to build your sets
Mm-hmm.
are the stats that you've actually got, minus any mods that you already had slotted. So we strip out all your mods.
Okay. Okay. So the mods are stripped out. Okay. Okay.
They're totally stripped out. So, if you had an intellect mod, we've taken that out for you. We're just looking at the base stats.
Okay.
But because masterworking is permanent, we leave things masterworked that are masterworked.
Mm.
So assume masterworked is there in case you're knee deep in golf balls and you want to masterwork everything.
Mm.
Fine. You could pretend that everything's already masterworked. It's already got that plus 12 or whatever. And we'll do the calculations with that. So that could change things, right? So you can try clicking it and see if it changes anything. And maybe it does, and maybe it doesn't, right? So I don't know. I don't know if it does that much for you. Right?
Yeah.
You got the pieces are great already masterworked, so it's not that big a deal.
Yeah, and this is this chest, this Wings of Sacred Dawn I recently only got, so it's one of the few things actually that I don't have masterwork. So because my central piece is not masterworked, I would leave this unchecked, I guess.
Yeah, I usually leave it unchecked because honestly, I'm not going to throw materials at stuff just to make the build when I'm still trying to figure out what the builds are.
Gotcha. Okay.
Then the sliders below that are another thing that I don't mess with that much. By default, we don't really care what power your sets are because you can always infuse them. But you can exclude things. So like, hey, you're trying to throw something together real quick for a raid. You probably don't actually want to be at 750 power.
Yeah.
So you can like pull it up to 1020 or something like that. And then, it'll just trim out some stuff, but it'll also be throwing away some things.
Of course.
So maybe not worth it. And the same thing with the minimum armor stat total. Like it's unlikely unless you have a piece that drops with like crap stats and one with 25 or something that something will be at 55 or lower and will be worth it. Right.
Gotcha.
Now it's just keeping those out of the pool so that you don't have to, spend the time looking at them.
True. And now I'll say this, chat, I'm anal. I play this game way too much. Give me 1 second. I got a question. Oh yeah, no, Wolf. I was about to ask that question. I was about to burn Ben with that. That has been burning my brain for like, oh my goodness, bro, for probably like a month or two when I started making some better builds. So I'm definitely gonna get that question. That is probably the most important question that I personally have for Ben. So we're gonna get to that in a second. Before that, I will say that I'm definitely a nerd when it comes to these stat totals. I play this game way too much too, so I'm privileged to have that time in order to find really quality pieces of armor. And so this is actually pretty cool. This minimum like armor stat total, because every once in a while, especially I have some armor in my vault from year one that actually might be, like relatively low on the stat total here. So for me, I might actually pull that up to 60 because I don't use anything that has less than 60 on the stat total, whether it's masterworked or not, right? So that's actually pretty cool. Should we ask that question now? Yeah, I'll ask Ben that question now. Ben, is there a way to exclude pieces that have a certain max infusible power? So that's something huge for me because I've been making these builds with sunsetting in mind, but I've had to do it. I mean, at least, maybe there's some way to do it that I don't know of because I'm not saying I know everything about this, but I was assuming that there's no way to exclude pieces, that are getting sunset at a particular point in time. So is there a way to do that? Is there something in the future for us to kind of factor in sunsetting to allow us to make builds with sunsetting in mind?
Well, strap in because we are not done with cool things.
Let's go.
So that search bar at the very top of the page,
Oh.
that's our search, and it works everywhere in dim.
Okay.
So that's your key to really, really narrowing things down. So if you just start typing the word sunset.
Oh man, you got me excited. I didn't even know this was here.
Oh, so you've got a search autocomplete, and you can choose sunsets after arrival there, right? So arrival's our current season.
Okay.
So, interesting.
Yep.
So what this is telling me is that with the parameters you've set for build, you don't have any sets that use armor that will still be infusable after arrival to the cap above arrival.
Yeah, but we know that's not true. What's up?
So let's see. Maybe. Well, okay. So yeah, let's figure this out, because it might be a bug and it might be real. So clear that back out.
Yep, got it.
And let's look at those pieces you've got at that top build. So click on those guys.
Yep. And so this is 1360.
14 max.
This one's 1060, but obviously if we come down to here, this one's 1360. Obviously that's an exotic, so that's good. This one's 1360, and this one is 1310. So this build right here should show up, correct?
Yeah, you might have found a bug, honestly.
Yay! I'm helping out.
Yeah. Now the good news is, because we release every week, I can probably have that bug fixed by Sunday.
Dubs, chat. This is what. All right,
I'm gonna. Yeah, that's awesome. Okay, I have somebody on my side who's very helpful, who's suggesting that we actually need to do an exclusion search. So let's just try this again, and I'll think through whether it should have worked the way I thought it worked or not. So go back and put sunsets after arrival in the search again.
All right, got it. And here, got it.
And then just put a minus in front of it.
A minus, got it.
No, in the front.
Oh, jeez. Oh my God, Ben, I'm so embarrassed. Leave me alone.
All right. So this just means, okay, that must be doing it. Okay. So that's saying doesn't sunsets after arrival. I'll have to think through what that means.
Okay.
But the point is, you should be able to look now.
Okay.
And each of those pieces, sunsets after is a downward search. Okay. Well, I'm just, I guess I don't know that much about that part. But if you click on those items, you should be figuring out, yeah. Okay. I'm having it explained to me.
Take your time.
So the way it works is, sunsets after means that after the arrival season, this item will be sunset, right?
So this is doing the opposite, basically. The minus is doing the opposite.
Exactly. And so minus is saying not sunset after arrival, which is exactly what we want. We want pieces that are going to be okay even after season arrivals.
Gotcha. Okay.
All right. I had to be straightened out there. I told you this was complicated.
No, it's okay. It's okay. We're listening.
Now check it out. You go look at some of those pieces, spot check them. All of them should be beyond next season's power cap. So now you're assured at this point that any build that you make from this will be usable in the next season.
Okay.
And if you want to be even more, picky, you can actually use a different search that's specifically on the power cap.
Okay.
Right? Because, things will sunset in different phases. So if you want specifically just power cap 1360 or whatever, you can just type power cap 1360 and that'll limit it to only things that are at that power cap.
Power cap 1360 like that?
Well, I forget what it is. So what I always do is I just start typing a little bit and let it autocomplete. I don't know, what is it? Power cap? I thought it was power cap. All right. Power limit. That's it.
Power limit. On the bottom? Got you. Yep. Power limit 1360.
Yep. Or what is it? 1320? I forget what the actual power limit
is. No, it's 1360. I'm pretty sure it's 1360. Hold on. We'll double check. It's right here. 1360. Power limit 1360.
Huh. Well, then I don't
I
know
put a
what
space.
that.
I put a space. I put a space.
No. Yeah,
You think that'll do it?
that's not right. Maybe it's power limit equals 13. Anyway, don't worry about this one. I'll
Oh
figure
man,
it
I
out.
want to worry about this one. Now you got me on it.
Oh yeah, Kyle's got me here. He says it's power limit colon equals 1360.
Colon.
So yeah, without any spaces. It still didn't work. I don't know what that's all about.
Maybe it's power limit equals 1360.
Maybe.
I don't know. I see this coronation bond here, and it's 1310.
No, I don't know what's going on there, but I will tell you the helpful thing here, because I forget them all the time, all these different searches.
Uh huh.
If you just open up that menu and go down to filter help on the bottom,
Yep.
you get the directory of everything we've got, and we've got just a ton of searches.
I see this.
And so you can use those. Like, do you remember a while ago there was some bounty where you had to do things with Vigil of Heroes sets on. So I went to Loadout Builder. I typed Vigil of Heroes into the search. I grabbed my Vigil of Heroes set. I'm on my way.
Seriously, there's a Vigilant Heroes like tag in here at the time.
Well,
maybe.
no, you can just do it, right? You can just search it. So if you put quotes in and then put any words in, it'll search the description or anything like that.
Oh yeah. That's right.
Mm-hmm.
Does it have to be in quotes?
If it's just one word, it doesn't have to be. But if it's multiple words, you need to put it in quotes. Just otherwise, it thinks each word is an individual search.
Oh, okay. Oh, that makes sense. Okay.
So anyway, that's the power tool that you can use to really limit what's going into your sets.
Okay. Somebody says in chat, it says power limit.
We're gonna keep trying.
Yeah, I know. This is me. This is my community as well. We're super like, oh man, we just key in greater than equal than 1360.
Okay, cool.
Okay, that's cool. Yeah,
figured it out. We cracked the code.
Yeah, that's cool. Okay.
Okay, so like these are going to be builds that you're going to be able to use in the next season, no problem, guaranteed.
Okay.
And so you've chosen the stats you want, you've ordered them correctly, you've ignored the ones you don't like, and you've locked the perk for your exotic. So not too bad, right?
Yeah.
So usually at this point, I start loading mods in, because, and I'll admit I'm a total noob, but you have to have a couple mods to really make things work, right?
Of course.
So leave the search in there. Leave sunsets after arrival, because we don't want anything that's gonna leave at the end of the season.
Correct.
And let's go over to that select mods menu, or even easier, you can just click on one of the mod slots on one of the armor pieces.
Oh, okay. So let's.
So like, here's a good one that I always do, just because I'm basic. Click on the groups mod, and let's get traction in there, right?
Okay. Yeah. I'm basic too. Then I always use traction.
Right.
All right. So chat. I'm selecting traction right here, and then you got to make sure down here you select mods in order to confirm it, and then it's locked in that spot there. Okay.
Exactly. So two things that happened here that were cool. One is now traction's part of your loadout.
Okay.
So it's been given a +5 mobility. So DIM is including the stats for that mod in your calculations,
which is huge, because usually I do that manually.
You don't need to do it manually. We're doing it all ourselves, and you'll see that knocked one of your sets up to T7.
Oh yeah, you're right. And I see now we're at a T24 right here too, instead of a T23.
Yep. So that's it. So that's how we start tweaking our stats, right? And so locking the mods like this will do two things, 3 things maybe. One is, if you lock seasonal mods, it's going to restrict the armor pieces to pieces that can slot that seasonal mod, right? You don't have to think about like, wait, was it the arrival gear can slot dawn mod? I can't keep track of that. They change it every week. So we just have the logic for you.
Okay.
So you
Okay.
can choose the mods you want, and we'll narrow down the pieces that could actually slot that mod.
Gotcha. So if folks in chat didn't realize what Ben was saying is that some pieces of armor, based on when it dropped, have certain seasonal slots, right? This has like a season of arrival slot, I guess is what it would be called, since it has this pyramid here, and it can only slot. I mean, basically, you can only slot certain like mod components, or I'm sorry, mods into like certain seasonal slots, sometimes. And so that being the case, if you were to actually slot this as radiant light, for example, select that, go to select mods, then it'll choose gear that only the gear that can actually slot that have that seasonal mod slot for you to actually slot that mod in there. Is that what you're saying, Ben?
Absolutely.
Okay.
And you'll see you're up to T26 now because you got that plus 20.
Oh yeah, look at that.
So when you do that, it'll also narrow down to the correct element if you choose a mod that has an elemental restriction.
Yes.
So some mods now have elements, so it'll automatically make sure that your armor matches the element.
Gotcha.
And the cool thing that Ryan actually did really recently there is, you can select them from clicking on the slots, but really the mod is not attached to the specific piece of armor. So if you have, arc boots or whatever, and you choose a mod that's a general mod that requires solar, Loadout Optimizer will automatically find another solar piece to put it in.
Gotcha. So it's not as if what you're saying is, it's not as if, sorry to interrupt, it's not as if this mod is attached to this particular piece, this particular boots right here. This mod is it's attached to this category, and then DIM, the Loadout Optimizer, finds the particular pieces in your inventory, that can suit this. Is that correct? Yep. Is that what you're saying? Okay, gotcha.
Absolutely. So the whole idea, right, is that you're coming at this from, hey, I've got a great idea for a combo of mods that's going to do something for me, right? I've got an awesome Warmind Cell build or a Charged with Light build. I'm just going to throw those mods in there, and then Loadout Optimizer will figure out how to make them work.
Okay. I feel like I had a question. It'll come back to me if it is. But this is actually kind of huge because, again, this is not something that I was familiar with. I saw these categories here along with, I'm sure, a lot of other people with regards to the mods, but I didn't really think about it that much. Oh, that's what I was going to say. So we were talking about this. I'm sure Ryan would probably chime in if he was here. But what's going to happen once? You guys are going to have to make some changes once they take away the elemental restriction on mods, correct?
Yep. Yeah, that's absolutely right. And so that's kind of like the eternal Sisyphean, like rolling a boulder up a hill that we live with at DIM, is every release, something changes.
Yep.
And we've built DIM using as much data as we can from Bungie and from their API so that we automatically pick up stuff. But some of these rules, we've just got to do ourselves.
Yeah.
We're crossing our fingers that the day Beyond Light drops, Loadout Optimizer will automatically reconfigure itself and know the rules.
Yep.
But it might not, and it might take us a week to get it completely straightened out.
Gotcha. So what you're talking about is, I guess, rules that would automatically, come in from the API, right? Versus rules that you would have to actually implement yourselves on this end.
Yeah, absolutely. And, Bungie's actually done a pretty amazing job of designing the API and putting all this data in there for us.
Definitely.
We can actually figure out a lot of this stuff automatically, which is, for me, it's always awesome because content will drop, I'll load up DIM, and it will have automatically figured out all this stuff that I didn't have to do.
Yeah.
Every once in a while, we have to mess with stuff manually, and so I bet when Beyond Light comes around, enough will have changed that we'll have a few things we need to tweak.
Gotcha. Yeah, you're probably right. We're having to download a whole new Destiny 2, right?
Exactly.
That's wild. So a couple of things maybe folks didn't realize that maybe you picked up on as we were talking is, number one, the last TWAB or the TWAB before that talked about the fact that in Beyond Light we're no longer going to have restrictions, mod restrictions, elemental elemental energy restrictions. So you see this right here where this radiant light, is that what we selected? Radiant light has a restriction to the point where it can only be equipped on arc armor.
Mhm.
That will no longer exist. Now you'll be able to put radiant light, for example, on any elemental energy, whether it be solar, arc, or void, or stasis. I guess would that mean we're getting stasis armor?
That's interesting.
I didn't even think about that. Okay.
Yeah, I hope I don't have to rewrite too much ado for that. It's a little different because they really only had, and they've had three elements for so long that I'm sure we have some dark corners
Yeah.
uh, where we've hard coded it. But
Yeah. 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 All right. Hold on. Amelia says no. Radiant light will still have element. It's weapon centric armor mods that won't.
okay,
Ah. Okay. Okay. Okay.
yeah.
So raid
Reading
mods.
the
Go ahead.
TWAB was hard.
I'm listening. What'd you say, Ben?
Uh, I'm just saying, like, the TWAB comes out and they give us some info, and then everybody has to interpret it and like
Yep.
come up with their own idea of what it means.
Okay. Yeah. 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 And that's got to that's got to be kind of a tough spot for you all because
Yep.
clearly you're trying to interpret just enough, to make sure that DEM is at its best when a new, large DLC like this drops.
Mhm.
Wild. Wild.
So yeah, so
Wild.
like at this point you've done your build. Like you can keep adding mods to kind of nail up down exactly what you want. But that's it. So at this point, you can just click that plus loadout button and save it and use it whenever you want.
Gotcha.
Um,
Oh, okay. 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 Oh, gotcha. Okay.
that's
Nice.
where you name it. You can add some other stuff in there if you want. So if you had like I like to make these like crazy sidearm mod builds. So I always pick my favorite sidearm and add it on in there, and I
Gotcha.
save that. But yeah, so that's how you save your loadout, and then that'll show up in the loadout drop down later.
That's
For
cool
when
because you could save you could save your emblem, you could save your ships, your vehicle, your ghost, so I could really drill pretty deep into like a particular build. So a crucible build specifically that utilizes sunshot and whatever I'm using, maybe I'm using Ophidian aspects in order to give me just a tidbit more handling. And then I kind of like filter a build from there. And then, my ghost has all the crucible, perks on it, like gives me extra glimmer from killing guardians or whatever else, gives me extra XP. And then maybe I want like a specific emblem for the crucible. Maybe I want like a specific ship or vehicle. That's cool. That's cool.
yeah. And the other neat thing you can do here with loadouts is, by default, you're getting just your equipped items. But like, especially with weapons, you might want an equipped weapon and then a couple more weapons that you're going to switch to in the middle of like a dungeon or something.
Uh
So
huh.
you can load up as many of those secondary things as you want. They'll get pulled over too when you apply the loadout.
Oh, that's cool. So I don't know if everybody caught that again. So Ben said that even if, so say for example, I want to pull over my sunshot and that's my primary weapon that I'm using, I can also pull over something else in the energy spot. Is that what you're saying?
Yeah, so if you click that plus button that's next to the energy weapon you've already,
Ah, yes.
you keep adding stuff in.
Ah, and so those will get filled into the inventory while the sunshot will ideally be filled into the equipped weapon spot. Is that correct?
Absolutely.
Dope.
Yep.
That's
Yeah. So you
cool.
can really tune it out. Like, so I have loadouts for all the raids and stuff like that. That's exactly what I want.
Okay, okay, okay. The last thing, okay, so I always like to make sure things are clear and clear for me as well. So I want to
Absolutely.
drill this, I mean, this is just a general question. I'm going back again to that mod, to the mod and the elemental energy restriction thing. So chat, you guys were saying that like it's only the weapon mods that are okay. So we're talking about like enhanced hand cannon reloader. You'll be able to throw on anything, and obviously enhanced hand cannon reloader. If folks didn't get it as well, see the swap. It's going to go away, and there's only going to be one hand cannon loader, and it's going to be equivalent, I think, to enhanced hand cannon reloader. Gotcha. So it's the weapon mods that are no longer going to require a certain elemental energy to equip, but the ability mods such as radiant light you'll still have to equip that, for example, on an arc piece of armor, okay, with which
Mhm.
has the appropriate seasonal. Oh, that got confusing too, actually, because they said something about like yeah.
Yep. They're changing the seasonal slots. They're changing everything. And the good news is, as long as you know what mods you want, Dim will figure out what you need to. going.
That's the plug, chat. That's as long
Yeah.
as you know what you want, demo figure out the rest.
Yeah.
Bet. Okay, so let me see. Hold on for a second. Question: with next season's Ghost being able to have perks, will they be included in the next loadout optimizer?
That's a really good question. I think I think we'll probably put that out to the community once people have had a minute with it and say like, hey, do people want it that way?
Mm.
We originally had ghosts back when the loadout optimizer was all about perks. We had ghosts in there because it was like, oh, you want your crucible ghost, it gets you crucible tokens or whatever. And then everybody just used the same ghost all the time.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
We just kind of removed it because it was a pain.
Well,
But yeah, if it's cool.
once they get more impactful perks down there though. So say for example, I mean I'm just making this up obviously because it's still probably going to be in the arms. But for example, if they put enhanced hand cannon reloader or hand cannon reloader on the ghost now, or some sort of gun reloader on the ghost, then obviously people are going to be wanting to ask about it. They're going to want that in there now, right? So crucible tokens maybe not, but if they end up putting something more impactful in there that's actually going to impact your gameplay as opposed to XP or how much tokens you get, especially when that stuff doesn't really matter with regards to the loot, the 3-year-old loot that we have at the Crucible quartermaster or whatnot. Then yeah, we can anticipate that folks are probably going to want that in there, correct?
Yeah, totally.
Okay.
And I think, one of the things we're trying to get to with this loadout optimizer, since the game seems to be moving really heavily towards mods, is we're moving really heavily towards mods. So we're going to try to get further and further and further towards you've got a cool set of mods. It's all about picking the right mods. And then you share your mods with somebody else. They can build a similar build around the same mods, stuff like that. Right. I think, if you think about it, I don't know if you ever played Magic, Magic the Gathering, or any games like that, but people come up with like cool combos of cards, right? I think we want to try to get that way with mods too, where somebody goes like, and I've seen this on Reddit, right, where people are like, I bet you didn't know that if you pair this Warmind cell thing with this thing that increases solar explosions with this other thing, then it's like God tier and everybody wins.
Yeah.
So I think we want to make it so that people can share those builds and like you'll know, okay, can I or can I not build that?
Gotcha. That's really dope because where I can see that being used really often is in PvE builds. People are always trying to come up with, my friend Mittens Kittens, she's always trying to come up with these unique like builds that nobody's ever come up with on like a hunter or a warlock or a titan, and trying to piece together like several pieces of maybe a mod, a perk, et cetera, a weapon, and trying to combine all of those unique perks from different places of Destiny and weapon mechanics, loadout mechanics in order to, you're right, create some sort of like god tier impact, some sort of god tier build, where her gun then does one shots like everything, including bosses or something, So that's actually really cool.
Yeah, I think it's going to be super fun.
Yeah.
And, my guess is there's going to be some crazy mods in the next season.
Of course. I mean, it is. We are. Oh man, yes. The power fantasy is alive.
Yeah.
And well. Before we get into a few more questions, let me just see if I have any more here. So, we talked about selecting for certain perks here, of course, and we have a search bar there as well. And you can drill it down based on the particular piece of armor. So there you go there. You can select for particular mods, which is what we were doing a little bit earlier. So I kind of like just doing it up here, like Ben had us to do. But of course, you can go down here and select for mods in the same type of fashion as well. Helmet, gauntlets, chest, legs, class item, seasonal, and general mods. And do it that way as well. And then let me see. And I assume that once you select it, let me see. So say for example, hold on. Let me just select it and then I'll see. So if I select a boss resist, it's just gonna throw it. Is it gonna like? How does it decide? Because I can put a boss resist on any of these pieces, right?
Yep.
How does it decide that it goes on the legs?
It's just kind of picking randomly because it doesn't matter, right?
Of
because
course,
you've only selected one boss resist.
Yep.
it doesn't. You can put it on any piece.
Okay.
Uh,
Okay.
I think you're going to see some, like, I'm crossing my fingers here, but you'll see some cool things in dim soon that are more around like telling you, okay, you're going to need to slot this. You don't have it right now.
Okay.
Uh, and that'll be cool. But right now it doesn't do that.
Okay. 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 Let me see. So I think that's it for this category there. Then, of course, you've got the lock particular items, and then you can just drag them to items here. Oh, okay, okay, and lock the equipped items. Okay, okay, all
Yeah.
right.
It's kind of like a different workflow where, let's say you've been running a set in game and you like it, but you just want to tweak it. What you can do is you can start with just hit plus equipped. That'll it'll lock all the stuff you've currently got.
Mm,
And then you could say, well, okay, but what if I had a different chest? So you can clear out the chest and it'll give you all the options that leave everything else together.
but the
But move.
chest, nice.
So that's
I
a way
like
to
it.
be like, hey, I really like the build I've got now, but I want to see if maybe I have better gloves or a better chest that I could swap it out for.
Gotcha, gotcha. Very cool, very cool. Okay, all right. And then I feel like I had one more thing. Oh, and so the last thing that I'll say, everybody, is that of course, Ben said that if you end up liking one of these builds, you can then click the plus loadout and then save that build so that you'll have it available to you, at any point in time, and then you can just load it. And then we talked a little bit about, like how to add additional pieces and how to add additional pieces into the inventory versus the equipped slot for that particular loadout, et cetera, et cetera. But you can also click this equipped and automatically equip that build as well, which is what I was doing before to kind of, I was kind of doing half dim, half manually checking this stuff out. The last question, I guess, that I have for you before we get into some of the questions from the chat is compare loadout. What is this compare
Yeah,
loadout feature?
super, super new, but I'm pretty psyched about it. So if you click that, um, what that does is it says, okay, this row here, yeah, let's get back to like
Yeah,
a good,
basic.
okay.
Yeah, we'll leave traction on
Yeah,
just in case.
that top loadout. So what you're saying is first that loadout that you just were looking at,
Hmm.
and then below you can select any one of your existing loadouts, and it'll compare the stats of them. So you can say, oh, okay, like is this better than my old PvP,
Oh,
right? And you
gotcha.
can compare right there. And actually, you're not seeing it because you're on the release version, but in the beta, you can compare against whatever you have equipped as well.
Ah,
Super, super
okay.
cool.
So folks didn't catch that in chat. This compare loadout function compares whatever build you're looking at the time, which is this one right here. I clicked compare loadout for this loadout right here, so that's what you see right here. And you can also, by the way, save it here as well. So say for example, you end up saying, "Oh, I compared it versus what I'll explain down here. I like this loadout. I can save it." So I'll save it. I click save. I assume I go to the same save screen that that normally
Well,
comes. Go ahead.
that one's probably a little tricky because what that's doing is it's saying overwrite the other loadout with
Oh
this.
no.
Yeah, so you got to be careful with that.
Okay.
Because the idea here, right, is you have a cool loadout, you have your favorite PvP loadout. You go and make a better PvP loadout. You compare them. If you like it better, you replace your old one.
Gotcha. Okay. Okay. So be careful with that, chat, because I was definitely about to select the shit out of that.
I hope it asks you whether you want to, but I'll be honest, I don't know.
We don't know, chat. We don't know.
It's new. It's really, really new.
All
We're
right.
not
Cool.
on it every day. So
Gotcha. Yeah, so this is so again, you're comparing this loadout that you clicked compare loadout with, and you're comparing it versus your previously saved loadouts, which these are my previously saved loadouts. My main Ophidian one, my T-Steps loadout, shout out to Noise Tank, and my T28 loadout. So these are all like my personal loadouts that I already have saved. So again, Ben is saying that with this function, you're ideally trying to find a better loadout for something versus something that you have already saved. So the compare function is really about comparing, a new loadout that you're working with versus something that you already have saved. Okay, cool,
yep,
cool.
awesome.
Um,
I think you nailed it. Like you got every piece of this thing.
I hope
We,
so.
we wrung out every feature at this point.
Perfect. Okay, so before we get to the questions, Ben, is there what is the main source by which we can ask you guys questions over at Dim if we have additional questions after the stream?
That's an awesome question. We have a lot of ways to be contacted. Definitely follow us on Twitter at This Is Dim. We are answering questions all the time on our Twitter. We have a Discord that's linked from our Twitter profile. So, yeah, right there. Show up on our Discord. People are always chatting. There's a place to request features, get support, all kinds of stuff. And then if you're a developer and you want to try out, adding a feature, come on over to our GitHub, and we have a bunch of issues tagged good first issue, and you can dip your toes in the water and maybe join the ranks of dim developers.
Very cool. Very cool. All right. All right, let me pull this back over here then and come back here. So if folks didn't hear what Ben said, yep, there we go. You already linked it for us. Perfect. So definitely follow on Twitter. This is Dim. So at This is Dim, and then utilize the Discord as well, which has a bunch of features in there to kind of assist and a guide on resources regarding Dim, and the awesome folks that work over there to give us this great tool. And so unless Ben has something else for us, so we can get into some of the questions from the chat.
Yeah, let's do it.
All right, cool. I see one right here. Patty Toon says, is there any way to have mods saved with saved loadouts so that the mod switching takes place when we load our saved loadout?
So that's like the holy grail, honestly. And no, right now you can't do that.
Okay.
We're working towards it though. So pretty soon we should have, when you save your loadouts, it saves the mods. And then when you go to apply it, it'll tell you like, yo, you're missing some mods. You need to switch some. But you got to do it manually, because no app right now, except for the official companion, is allowed to switch mods.
So, but doesn't it takes resources, right? It takes Glimmer or something like that in order to change mods. So there's, there's a little caveat there, right? I mean, it has to ensure that you have enough Glimmer in order to actually make that selection happen.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay.
Exactly.
Okay.
But things can change, so we'll see how that goes.
Okay. So Patty Toon says, "Oh well, thanks for the answer. Dim still rocks." I completely agree with that. All right. When will we see Dim in the Apple App Store?
I think Goose is trolling me here. Goose is one of our partners in crime, developing.
Oh, Dim. It's Goose. It is Goose. You're right.
We will likely never see Dim in the Apple App Store because Apple doesn't play that way.
Gotcha.
But you can see it in the Google Play Store for Android because they do play that way.
Gotcha. Available on Android, not on Apple.
Right.
Thank you, Goose.
Not because we don't like Apple, but because Apple doesn't like us.
You're that Apple? Come on. Give us a break over here. West March says, when's the next hoodie drop? I need another one. Okay. I'll keep that in mind, West March. Vengeance Please says, is the top horizontal representing the best loadout based on stats to the left?
Yeah, it is. So each of those horizontal builds is one combination of stats to reach a total tier, and they're always ordered by total tier. And then secondarily, they're ordered by the stat order that you chose by dragging and dropping the stats on the left.
Gotcha.
So you're always getting it in the order that you asked for.
Gotcha. So priority again is towards the stat total here. Now this is the stat total that we are not ignoring, right? So certain stats are ignored right here, and that's what you see right here. But you see a 29 here, you see a 27, and then you see another 29 here. The reason, this isn't these aren't coming into play. Basically, these aren't factored in right here. What is factored in are the stats that you are not ignoring. So that's why you see this total right here, which is the total number, of tiers of the stats that you are not ignoring. So again, Ben is saying the priority is towards that first, the total number, the total tier of the stats that you are not ignoring, and then the second they are ordered. So say you say T25, T20, T25, T25. These are ordered all within the same tier based on the priority that you gave them by dragging these here. So recovery is prioritized here. Discipline is secondary. Mobility is third. Strength is fourth. And so that's how builds are prioritized within a particular tier. So good question. Good question.
Yeah.
Yours says, question for Ben from A Bullet Away. How far in advance does Bungie let you have access to whatever code you need so that DIM is ready at season launch? Also, how does that process work?
Well, that's a super good question. So Bungie will not, we don't know anything ahead of what you all know in terms of like what the game's going to have in it, anything like that. But what Bungie does do is they publicly make available API documentation that they'll update ahead of the game.
Hmm.
So like a good example for that was when Forsaken came out. They described how mods would work basically ahead of when they actually released it, and they described it that way so that we could prepare our code for that and know how the API would change. But yeah, we don't know anything special beyond that. But it
Gotcha.
is really helpful to have that API documentation.
Okay. 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 And so you
They
said
write it out. They do a lot.
so you said the what exactly in the API documentation? The API documentation is what is currently implemented, though, correct?
So they'll tell us basically, hey, in the next version of the API, we're going to add this thing and that thing, and this new thing's going to work that
Oh,
way.
okay. Okay.
It's
Okay.
really
Okay.
helpful. They can't
Gotcha.
tell us like, oh, there's going to be this new type of weapon. They won't tell
Of
us that.
course. Okay. Okay. Gotcha. 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 Okay. Now this is my question. Follow up question right there is the information that's in the API. I mean, we basically get that information through the TWAB too, right? Like in so many words, like kind of a skeleton of what you guys might be getting something a little bit more detailed in the API documentation. But I mean, we get a lot of that information in the TWAB and in the public releases, right? So, for example, the changes to the mod system. Um, do you guys get additional information in the API that we don't necessarily get?
No, not really. It's
Okay.
all pretty. The real source for the info is the TWAB,
Okay.
and then we're getting like details for programmers, right?
So it's kind of contextual details specific to programming and the API.
Yep,
Okay.
absolutely. So like a lot of the things that you'll see in the changelog or in the TWAB, they don't tell us because it's just kind of automatic.
Mm.
But if they're like, hey, I bet your app is gonna break when we change all this stuff, they'll tell us
Okay. Gotcha. Gotcha. Okay.
that.
Okay. Well, that's very nice of them.
Totally. I mean, they're super, super, super supportive of all this third party development, and like we're not the only ones. There's tons and tons of people using the API, and Bungie's extremely supportive of that.
That's fantastic to hear. Okay. All right. Very cool. Let me see. We've got one from West March again. Can you choose where the mods go in your loadout? Specifically, I'm trying to lock powerful friends to my class item, but the bot keeps moving away from that slot.
Yep. Yeah, this is a totally reasonable, common question. And I think for people who are like really retentive about like, man, I just want it to be exactly so, it's going to be kind of unsatisfying. But this comes back to what we were talking about earlier,
Mm,
where Dim is just putting the mod kind of wherever it fits, because it doesn't matter where it is as long as you have one.
mm.
So yeah, it'll throw powerful friends on your class item or not on your class item or whatever. But it's up to you to equip it anyway. So don't worry about where Dim is displaying it, right?
Okay. Don't worry about where Dem is displaying it. Okay. Okay.
Yeah. It's really just showing you kind of like, have you filled up or not?
Have you filled up? As in, have you filled up the energy?
Well, no, so we don't take into account energy because you can pretty easily, expand your energy. But it's more like, if you put 5 general mods in, you can't put a 6th in.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
that you'd be all full up at that point. But if you have one general mod in, like who cares where it is, right?
Yeah. Yeah. Okay. 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 Gotcha. 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 Okay. Let me. Wait, why is it not letting me? Oh, well, I'm already on. Actually, it's because I'm on class item actually. So if I wanted to select powerful friends and West March, did that make sense? Did that make sense? I'm still, kind of digesting that myself. Class
Mm-hmm.
item, and then I come to.
There's powerful
Powerful
friends.
friends, got you. All right, select that. Okay, and so these are all the bonds that could carry powerful friends on them. Now I see powerful friends is equipped on these two. Why is it not
Yeah, so,
equipped on this one?
yeah. So this is where it's getting kind of complicated. So again, dim is like optimizing like based on all the possibilities. So you can make some builds where you put powerful friends on your class item. You can make others where you put it on your boots.
Oh, I see it. It ended up
So
equipped it on the boots.
yeah, dim's just trying both and seeing what you can get because powerful friends is an arc mod, so you have to have an arc piece for that,
Yep.
right?
Yep.
And it might be that with the mods that you selected, you really want a solar class item so that you can equip some other mod, right?
Uh. Uh.
Dim's like mixing the whole thing around to try to get you the best possibility.
Uh.
And
Uh.
so the reason you can't choose a slot is it would restrict it too much. It would take options away from dim. Whereas if you just throw out all the mods you're going to want, and dim will find you the best set.
Oh, okay. Wow. Wow. That's kind of crazy. Yo, Ryan. Wow. Okay.
Yeah, you really kicked it up a notch.
Yeah, seriously, because I expected it just to go to the wow, wow. Okay, so if folks aren't understanding again what Ben is saying, because I mean, it helps me to kind of repeat what Ben is saying so that I can further understand it. He's saying that you select for a particular mod, and Dim will just throw it in kind of the most efficient place, and that might not necessarily be on the class item. It might be on the boots and it might be somewhere else. Especially if you end up drilling it down and really selecting mods for like all of these, and then you finally select like, powerful friends as like the last mod, then it'll find, the appropriate spot left out of those limited spots available. Wow. Wow. Cool. All right, so Wetchmarch says, I got it. The problem is that Powerful Friends is only arc, so it'll change your armor sets to accommodate. Correct.
Yep.
Yeah, correct.
Yeah, but it's just like the tough thing to wrap your mind around is it's not really changing it. It's limiting some of your sets to the ones that could do it. Right?
Yeah.
So like yeah, you're leaving as many possibilities open as you can is the right way to think.
Okay. Let me see. Did I miss a section where you can choose what mod slot you want prioritized in your loadout?
Huh. Not sure I 100% understand that question, right? Because the workflow is just select the mods you want, and Dim will find the pieces that can fit them.
Mm.
So we're not starting from mod slot. We're starting from mods.
Yeah, that makes sense to me. Yeah, so hopefully that makes sense to you as well. Speak Able Auto. All right, so you're one of our esteemed mods here says, I have a question for Ben about the vendors tab. Hope it's okay to ask. So with the optimizer, we can slide the prioritized stats on the left. Can we prioritize which vendors we want to see first? If not, could that be made available?
Yeah, that's a cool idea. Yeah, I'd have to check that out. See if that's a reasonable thing to do.
All right, what Ben is saying is that that's currently redacted. So, so we'll come back. We'll come back to that. But yeah, great question. Speak says, like, if I want only a rival mod slot to make use of charged with light.
Yeah, like this is really the thing is like it's painful, but you gotta like turn your mind around to the way Dim's trying to think about it. What you want is charged with light. You don't want an arrival mod slot.
Yeah.
So you don't select a arrival mod slot. You select charge with light.
Yeah.
Dim will select arrival mod slot for you.
Yeah, it drills down from the mod itself. It doesn't drill down from the mod spot.
Yep.
Gotcha. Which in the end makes more sense to do it that way. Hopefully everybody can understand that. It makes sense to me. It makes more sense to do it that way because we're not looking for mod slots. We're looking for the mods, and then Dim figures out the gear that we have, with that slot available, and it takes care of all that stuff on the back end for us. But in the end, I just want my radiant light, Like I don't care about whether it has a mod, like I'm not looking for the mod slot. So,
absolutely.
Okay. Love it. Let me see. Do we have any other questions here in the chat for our expertise here? So you just lock a charge with light mod if you want the result to include a compatible. Oh, that's a good point. Yeah. So Nev says just lock a charge with light mod if you want the result to include a CWL, a charge with light compatible slot. So just just lock a more general mod in there that requires like okay. I'm personally not gonna do that. I'm just gonna lock in radiant light.
Just lock what you
I
want.
just want my mod. I just want my mod. I'm personally not gonna do that.
I'm into it.
Let's
Well, that's
see.
cool. Do we have any other questions that people were from earlier in the chat that we missed? Or
You read my mind. I'm scrolling up right now. See. I got the ghost question there. I don't think so. All right, I'm gonna give it another. What is your gear setup for PvP with mods? Man, I'll answer that question real quick. I don't want to keep Ben here much longer than anything that requires his expertise, but I'll answer that quick question right there. So my gear setup for PvP with mods. I'll come back over here, and if it's on my warlock, do you want a particular? Yeah, no worries, Don. Well, it's one question, so it's not a big deal. Do you want a particular like character? I can just show you my warlock. So I'll show you my warlock, and this is kind of just a general feel for all my builds as well. Um, give it a second to like load in, and this will also be the time as well. If you have any other questions for Ben before we release him to to the weekend, then this is the time for sure. All right, so for my warlock, I believe this is my build, my PvP build. 6 resilience for Thorn Burnout. 6 mobility. I always have 6 or more mobility on all my characters just because I'm used to that strafe speed. I always have traction as well. So that's an automatic 7 because traction gives you a visible 5 but a hidden 10 mobility on the stat bar here. So that's really 7 mobility, 6 right here, always 100, always 100 recovery. It doesn't matter what I'm using; it will always be 100 recovery. And then I kind of just let these happen the way that they happen. Ideally, I'd want more discipline and less intellect, but this strength is about what I want. It's usually I want it at a 4 or 5 for Dawnblade top tree, just because you already have for top tree. Right here, Wing Sun, which is airborne final blows, extend the effect of heat rises, and grant melee energy. So if I shotgun somebody and defeat my opponent in the air, it gives me like almost a half, if not a half, of my melee back. So so 15 total. Let me see. Let me see. 15 total. What do you mean? 15 total as in what, Don? Yeah. Otherwise, while you're answering that question, of course, I have recovery on here, enhanced shotgun targeting. Oh yeah, 15 total. Yes, traction gives you 15 total. 5 visible, 10 invisible. Then I've got enhanced hand cannon reloader, fastball, always fastball. I've got unflinching shotgun, which is arguable. I've got powerful friends actually on the chest here. For the boots, I have traction and enhanced shotgun dexterity because I'm a shotgunner. And then on the bond, I have bomber and enhanced bomber, so that I can get my nade back even faster with that 45. Okay, we have another question from Wes March. Is there a more extensive list of search functions slash commands floating around somewhere? The autofill and provided commands are pretty good, but just wondering. So let me see if I can answer this question.
yeah.
The filters help, correct? That's where yep, the filters help is where you would go, Wes March.
And then
So,
we have a little bit of searchception there where you can search the searches with that search bar right there.
oh, yeah.
Down
Oh,
in
yeah,
the
yep, right here, right here, right.
you can search the searches to find the right search to search with.
I can't actually click on this, though.
Oh, really? Well, I'll have to fix that then.
Gotcha. It
Yeah,
says wait. It says wait. Maybe it's a dim thing on my side. So
it might be.
it's been doing this the last like couple days. Every once in a while, it'll give me a wait. So, but this is the way that you would do it. Basically, you would just click here, and then you would just filter the commands based on this search bar here. So,
Yeah, 'cause
West, I hope that to answer your question. Go ahead, Ben. I'm sorry.
I was just gonna say we've just got a ton of searches. So
Okay. Gotcha. And then what is this user guide up here? And then it says, okay, view and edit search history. I guess this is the search history based on the search filter commands. Is that correct?
Yeah, we keep track of all the searches you've ever done.
Mm,
And then you can, just go back to them. You can favorite them. They get synced between all your devices. So if you get some like great searches that you use all the time, they're always there for you.
gotcha. Okay. Awesome. So West March, I hope that answered your question. So uh, obviously my dem right now is kind of botting out a little bit, but hopefully hopefully we got the gist of it. Let me see. Yep. So did we just end up getting we just got a host from Activision? Yo, welcome everybody from Activision stream. Yo, what's up, Jess? Thank you so much for the sub. I do appreciate you. Hope the stream went well. Big love, and welcome everybody again. Right now, we're about to finish up with Ben, but if anybody has any further questions, so right now we're actually doing kind of a an overview of Destiny Item Manager, but more specifically an overview of Loadout Optimizer and how you can kind of drill down some of your builds. Sorry, Dim is having a conniption, how you can kind of drill down some of your builds in order to make the build that is ideal for you, but that maximizes your stats basically. So if you have any particular questions with regards to Dim, and hopefully I can get back in at some point, then you can just at me here, or you can at Yer or Wolf. But if not, then we're gonna let Ben get on to his weekend.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I think we're good. Ben, thank you so much seriously for being here. I really, really appreciate it. This was
Tons of
enlightening
fun.
on so many levels for me.
Yeah,
So
it was tons of fun. Thanks for having me on. This is super cool. I love seeing people, getting to use some of these like more complicated pieces of DIM. So
yeah, I mean you guys threw it out there, right?
Yep. I hope it helped everybody.
Yeah, definitely. Let me see. Well, speak able auto. If I can get back into Dim, then we'll ask that last question. That you had that was specific to Loadout Optimizer. But Yer did ask real quick, Ben. Ben, any things we can look forward to, look out for some reveal and things.
Oh yeah. Well, we've got a lot of changes coming really soon. I think following us on Twitter is probably the best way to do that. And we tend to tweet out whenever we've got new stuff coming, and then you can go to our beta and honestly, you see us developing live on the beta. We're pushing multiple times a day, and things are changing really fast. So you get to be the first to see what we're doing.
Gotcha. And how do you access the beta? Is it through the 3 hashtags here?
It's just beta.destinyitem.manager.com.
Oh, I used to use that actually. Beta.
Yeah.
Beta.destiny manager, destinyitem.manager.com, right?
Longest URL in the world.
Hold on. Let me just go there real quick and see if it loads.
Yeah, no problem.
If it actually loads up. It's been giving me a little bit of see authorize. I think everything will be blurred out here, but let me just double check. Oh boy.
It's going to be difficult.
Give us a second, everybody. I gotta go to Steam Guard. Games. Steam. There we go. Perfect.
All right, there you go. So you're getting a preview of kind of like what we're coming up on. I think you have some crazy browser extension that's making everything dark.
Yes, that's correct. Dark mode only here.
Otherwise, you'd see our beautiful Beyond Light theme that we're developing.
Oh, let me turn it off real quick. I'll check it real quick. Hold on. Let me figure out where it is. Off.
There we go.
Yeah. Okay. It's just a change of color.
Yep. Yeah.
I expected more. You made it seem like it was something crazy.
It's not that crazy.
All right.
But yeah, we've got a lot of new stuff coming in. And yeah, anything we write, we push, it goes directly to the beta, right? So
okay.
Yeah.
So that's good to know. So, folks, if you guys didn't catch that, beta.destiny-item-manager.com. So that's the beta, and he said that everything that they push immediately goes to the beta. So you'll see it, operating automatically through the beta. Yep. One last question for Ben. Yours got one more last question, and since we still had him for a second, I'll ask this question from Speak Able Auto on the left, where it shows your stats, your min tier and max tier. Can Ben help me understand what is happening when it limits what tiers you can choose? Is that the maximum possible tier in each stat I can reach? This may not make much sense. Sorry, no, I'm pretty sure that made sense to Ben actually. So I'll let Ben follow up.
Yeah, you've got it. It's exactly that. It's just it won't let you select T10 if you can never get to T10. So it's automatically limiting the range down to what's possible. So it's just kind of like a helpful way of seeing like you're never like your build, you're never going to get beyond T7 strength. Sorry. And that's all it is. Yep.
Gotcha. So basically, when I load up Loadout Optimizer, this max right here is telling me that I'll never get beyond these stats on the right.
Yep.
Okay. All right.
Yep.
Good to know.
Easy peasy.
Yep. And then Bid Carl says, is there a way to sort by recently added in DEM? Read it recently added or recently acquired? Is that what you're asking, Carl? And we'll let you ask the last question.
Yeah, I think whether it's recently added or recently acquired, no, because we don't get access to like the time when you get something. That's like one piece of data that we never have access to, and we really want it, but yeah, not so far.
Well, the question is, would you want that piece of data or would you want to be on the App Store?
Right, yeah, I would want to be on the App Store.
Easy.
I mean,
Gotcha.
The Apple hookup.
Anybody got the Apple hookup for Ben and Dim? I'm not very influential, so I can't imagine that anybody in here that Ben doesn't already know if they're influential. So in that sphere, let me see. Yours said if you use Dim application on your desktop client, is that also in the beta client? Or do I specifically opt into beta for the application? Or is it not possible to have the application in the beta?
Yeah, you can install the beta as an app as well. So all of our, we're just a website, but we're like a really nice website. So in Chrome and in Safari Mobile and in a couple other browsers, you can install Dim as an app. And so if you're in Chrome, you can actually just open up the menu and click install Dim, and it'll install it right away. And so you can have the beta installed and you can have the app installed, and they can be side by side, no problem.
Oh, gotcha. Very cool. Okay. I like it.
Yep.
All right. Well, you're
nice own icon, and it shows up in Alt Tab and all that cool stuff. So
awesome. There you go. Well, hopefully that answered your question, good sir. I'd like to thank everybody for coming through today. I was using the beta all along. Nice. No, it's okay here. It's okay. I'm glad that folks, ended up finding benefit out of this. Man, I just really want to say thanks to Ben Hollis again from Destiny Item Manager for coming through and gracing us with all this expertise. So many things I learned, I'm sure the chat as well, with regards to really how to drill down our builds. I knew a decent amount about Loadout Optimizer, but I certainly didn't know all of that. And now, I don't feel like I really have to do too much manually, which is what I was doing before, kind of like half dim, half manual. So it's really cool to see all the great features that you guys have been working so hard on, and we just really appreciate you folks for providing this avenue for kind of manipulating the items on our characters, because Lord have mercy, even though load times are pretty solid on PC now, at least, still Destiny Item Manager obviously is pretty instantaneous. So we just appreciate you folks, and thank you so much, Ben. Again, I appreciate your time.
Awesome. Yeah, thanks so much, and have a great night.
Yep.
Enjoy the game.
Yeah, you too, and have a great weekend, sir.